Welcome to the Morgan Death Ambassador. I am your host, the Morgan. Thank you guys so much for being here. I am so stoked. Guess what time it is? It's Halloween time. It's my favorite freaking time of year. I love Halloween more than any other time of the year.
Halloween is the one night a year when a girl can dress like a total slut and no other girls can say anything about it. The hardcore girls just wear lingerie and some form of animal ears.
Doesn't she look great, honey? What are you?
I'm a mouse. Duh.
Unfortunately, no one told me about the slut rule, so I showed up like this.
I am a Scorpio, born to a Scorpio. My dad's birthday is the day right before Halloween, which is awesome, you guys. Awesome. We went ham in our household growing up. Honestly, Halloween ended up being a bigger thing in our family than like freaking Christmas. We love Halloween. We love all things horror. And so yeah, I'm a Scorpio, born to a Scorpio. So my dad's day is the day before Halloween, and so is my besties. We're Scorpio sisters. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing today on this episode is we are going to be exploring where the heck does Halloween come from? So one of the best things about Samhain is it is as the days are becoming shorter and the nights are becoming longer, so many cool things are happening at this time of year, right? Not only are we more likely to see a ghosty wosty in real life, but we are also more likely to have connections with our fallen loved ones. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. That's my favorite part about Samhain, is connecting with our fallen loved ones. Basically, Samhain, it is the celebration of all things spooky wooky. It comes from the ancient Celts. And the ancient Celts, not a lot is known about the ancient Celts. Unfortunately, because, Celts were considered pagans, and anything like there's a Christianity versus paganism, which kind of resulted in a lot of the Celtic history being burned or, damaged or whatever. So a lot of the history, unfortunately, about the Celts actually comes from Christians. And so that's what we are doing here. We are asking the question, things like, why do we trick or treat? Why do we bob for apples? Why do we dress up in costumes? What the heck is up with this jack-o'-lantern? And why am I excited to light a candle and hopefully have connections with my dead mom as Samhain and Halloween comes around? So basically, Halloween and Samhain, it falls right between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. So it is the harvest festival. It is the beginning of this time of Thanksgiving. It is the Celtic New Year. November 1st is the Celtic New Year. And most people don't realize that now is the time to sow your seeds. Oh my hell, is that auto focusing on the spooky guy behind me? Damn it, Steve! Ugh. I'm gonna take that off. Like I said earlier, the Celtic New Year is November 1st. And most people don't realize now is the time to sow your seeds for next year. As the leaves are falling off the trees, what also falls? The seeds. Seeds are falling off the trees. And so as the seeds are falling off the trees, now is the most powerful time. Now it is the most abundant time. The fall harvest is here. Like it is harvest time, baby. We are eating yummy foods. We are, having cozy dinners. We are eating, it is amazing. Now is the time to say thank you to the universe for this amazing year. And now is the time to sow your seeds for next year. That is what people miss. People who are trying to manifest in the middle of winter when the whole world is dead, when all of nature is dead, that is a shitty time to manifest and start your dreams. So now is the time to plant your seeds. Now is the time a lot of deities, or in Samhain, a lot of witches like me or pagans oftentimes work with deities. And I work with the Morgan. We talked about it in episode 1. Go check it out if you want to see more. But essentially, I work with the Morgan. And around Samhain is a good time when I renew my covenants or my contract with the Morgan. And a lot of people do that around this time of year. I'm going to be offering offerings to the Morgan, and we're going to strategize about how I can kick ass more next year. So now is the time to manifest those dreams. Also, Samhain is my favorite holiday in pagan holidays. As we mentioned earlier, I am a Scorpio and I love all things spooky wooky. And so one of the questions I've always to ask is, how does this Christian nation in America, how did we adopt Halloween, which came from the pagans, the Celtic pagans? And so, according to history.com, the importance of the pre-Christian customs of the people's lives apparently wasn't lost in early Catholic Church. Pope Gregory I, he was also known as Gregory the Great, who headed the church from AD 590 to 604. He advised a missionary going to England that instead of trying to get away with religious customs with the non-religious Christian people, they simply should convert them to Christian religious purposes. For example, the pagan temple should be converted to a Christian church. So the church mixed traditions of the Celts, Celtic spirits, and Celtic saints. In the 800s, the church designated November 1st as All Saints Day. My favorite part of Samhain is the connections to the dead. As the evenings are becoming longer and our days are becoming shorter, our connections with the dead and all things spooky wooky, now is the most amazing time to connect with your fallen loved ones. We're gonna talk about way more about that at the end of the video. One of the traditions that we did adopt from this Samhain is bobbing for apples. So, the apple is considered a symbol of immortality, and interestingly, it is also seen in the food of the dead, which is why Samhain sometimes is referred to as the Feast of Apples. Yummy! In Celtic myths, the apple branch in the meaning of growth, fruit, flowers, and unopened buds is a magical key to the land of the underworlds, according to bloodandspice.com. The Allen apple was hung from a short time from each of the arm of the cross. It was made in households as bobbing apples, and marriageable maidens would have placed their mark on the apples before it was suspended on the cross. And then it came to play the game where the candles were lit and the boys gathered beneath us. The Allantide, or the chandelier. Each boy took turns jumping to catch the apple with his mouth. Boys who were too slow or missed the apple hit their arms and would walk away would not blob and hot wax their face for their efforts. The ancient people associate apples with love and finding their true love and magic. So, and another tradition that I love around Halloween is dressing up. This is my nausea costume from 2 years ago when I cosplayed at FanX.
They will taste our wrath and quickly submit. I am prepared to escalate matters to crazy levels.
Gonna bust loose on the club roof, sucking throat juice like it's Grey Goose.
Also, if Guillermo doesn't have a family, is he going to start calling me Mommy? Bag had enough his relationship with Nando, so no thank you.
I got Nadia, which is my name, but with a less exciting J. Completely free.
Why are we dressing up like spooky wooky people? Well, this comes from Samhain. People wear costumes around Halloween for a variety of reasons. Essentially, it was to ward off spirits, right? I said that you're more likely to see a ghosty boasty around Samhain, around All Saints Day, because, like I said earlier, the veil between the dead and the living is becoming more and more frayed, right? And so essentially what people would do, they would dress up and they would put on spooky masks. They would wear the spooky masks in order to ward off the spooky wooky and the evil deities, right? They would wear the masks to avoid being so if they ran into a ghosty wosty, the ghosty wosty, instead of haunting them, would say, "Whoa, that's a fellow ghosty wosty," and not haunt them. So that's kind of where the idea of masks come from, right? It is that you don't get recognized by the evil eye or the evil spirits. People would wear masks to avoid being recognized by ghosts, to appease ghosts. And this is kind of where trick-or-treating comes from. People would place bowls of food outside their homes to appease ghosts and to prevent them from entering their homes. So people would put out candy to kind of keep those spirits happy. And essentially, kids would go out and they would be like, "Oh, cool, look, there's this candy at this person's door. These people are trying to ward off the spooky wooky people. Well, maybe I'm gonna steal their candy." And if they don't, and if I don't get their candy, if they're not offering candy this year to ward off the ghosty wosties, maybe we will do something mean. Like, that's kind of where you get like the trick or treat, right? Like, unless you get a treat, then you are gonna be tricked by some piece of shit kid. But and that's kind of where this tradition of trick-or-treating comes from. It is the kids would go out and they would find candy that people would put out to appease the ghosts, and they would steal the candy or take the candy. So essentially, if there wasn't candy out, what these kids would do was they would trick the homeowner or the people living there and do something nasty to them. Nasty little brats. Another modern day activity that stemmed from Samhain is the tradition of carving the jack-o'-lantern. Yes, we'd never have the Nightmare Before Christmas without Samhain and the ancient Celts. But why the hell do we carve pumpkins? According to Britannica, how did the jack-o'-lantern become associated with Halloween? Halloween is based on the Celtic festival Samhain, and the celebration Britain and Ireland marked the end of the summer and the beginning of the new year on November 1st. It was believed that during Samhain, the souls of those who had died would travel to the other worlds, and the other souls would visit their homes. The origins of Halloween explain the history of Halloween. Halloween has roots in ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which is between October 31st and All Saints Day and All Hallows Eve, or All Souls Day, trick-or-treating, pumpkin carving, and turnip harvest in the festival. The 1,000-year-old Halloween has roots in Celtic Harvest Festival, which has been preserved in Britain and Ireland on November 1st. In the 8th century CE, the Roman Catholic Church moved All Saints Day according to the saints' regions. This meant that Hallows Eve fell on October 31st, and the traditions of Samhain were such as wearing disguises to hide yourself as souls wandering around from home to home. The folklore about the Stinky Jack was quickly incorporated into Halloween, where they would be carving pumpkins or turnips ever since. The origin comes from the Irish myth of Stinky Jack, who tricked the devil of his own monetary gain. When Jack died, God didn't allow him into heaven, but the devil didn't allow him into hell. So Jack was sentenced to roam the earth for eternity. The Ireland people started out carving demonic faces and turnips to frighten away Jack's wandering soul. When the Irish immigrants moved to the U.S., they began carving jack-o'-lanterns from pumpkins as pumpkins are not native to Ireland. Samhain, in my mind, is also similar to Dia De Los Muertos. And this is just me and my conjecture. I think that they have a lot of things in common. I am not a Mexican. I just love Mexico. I love Latin American culture, and so unless you've seen Coco, I don't know, you need to see Coco. If you've not seen Coco, but at this point in your life, you just get a fucking Disney subscription. Go watch Disney. Go watch Disney's Coco. It is amazing. One of the best shows of all time. It's the story of a Mexican family celebrating Dia de los Muertos. As I said, that the veil between the living and the dead world, it becomes more thin around Samhain. The dead family members visit their living family members, and the living family members are supposed to have offerings or keep up pictures of their fallen ancestors, so their ancestors are not forgotten. It is such a beautiful and macabre way to connect with your ancestors. I love it. So, the people in Mexico celebrate Dia de los Muertos. It is a time where people offer ofrendas, which people can come in the form of flowers and food to their loved ones between November 1st and November 2nd. As I said before, I am not a Mexican creator, but there are tons of Mexican creators out there who do, talk about Dia de los Muertos, or you can just watch Coco, and that'll help educate you. So I'm going to be stealing a lot of my information from a website called dayofthedead.holiday. One of the important things to remember is that it is not a sad time of year, right? It is a happy time of year. There are so many happy skulls, and people dressing up in skeletons is a very, very popular way to celebrate Dia de los Muertos. And those skeletons are always smiling. If you've ever seen a skeleton, one of those Mexican Dia de los Muertos skeletons, they're always smiling, and I love it. It is such an awesome thing. We are celebrating our loved ones. We are celebrating, and death is just a part of life, right? It is like the memento mori. Y'all know I love that so much. The memento mori, if you don't know, it's the macabre version of carpe diem, and it remembers that you too will die. And having a terminal brain disorder has changed that for me personally, and I tried to, be in the moment more, and seize every single moment. And that's why I love Dia de los Muertos, and that's why I love Samhain and Halloween and All Hallows Eve. It's because it's a happy celebration of the dead. There's not crying. We're stoked we get to connect with our ancestors. So, one of the days, it is Dia de los Angelitos. It is November 1st, which translates to the Day of the Little Angels. Dia de los Angelitos starts on holiday at midnight on November 1st. This is essentially where the spirits of the deceased children are believed to be reunited with their families for 24 hours. That is such a beautiful, image to me. I would way rather have this beautiful, happy, if you ever lost a child, fuck, that sucks. I could not imagine losing a child. But if you've lost a child, that is such a beautiful time. To think maybe your kid is coming to say hi to you. What a special day. Guys, I'm gonna cry. I'm such a boob. But, so Dia de los Angelitos, right? That is on November 1st. And families construct an altar, also known as an ofrenda, and there's departed children's favorite snacks, candies, toys, and photographs to encourage them to visit from their departed children. The names of the departed children will often be written on a sugar skull. Guys, I love sugar skulls! Ah! It's the best time. So on November 2nd, it is Dia de los Difuntos, meaning the spirits of adults. The ofrendas can take on a more adulty themes. People can offer tequila, Mezcal, pulque, jars of ajote. Families also play games together and reminisce with their loved ones while they dance in the village and the band plays in their town. On November 2nd also is Dia De Los Muertos, which starts at noon. It is the grand finale. It is the public celebration of Dia De Los Muertos. In the most ancient and recent times, people come together in their cities dressed up as calavera, painted faces from skeletons, and they have parades in the streets. Cemetery visits have also been common as their families will go to decorate their gravesites. There are tons of marigold flowers, and they're also butterflies. They're also what are they called? They are also butterflies that come and around this time of year. Marigold flowers, they are put as gifts, and sugar skulls are put on with the departed person's name on them. And it's customary to clean the grave of the loved one in order to restore its color and beauty. I love the beautiful orange marigolds and the pictures and these traditions. It is such a beautiful time. That's one thing I like about Mexico is they're like, you know what? We're not gonna be like black. It's like they embrace all fucking colors, especially around Dia De Los Muertos. That's what I fucking love. So, and now we're gonna talk about Samhain and, my connections with ancestors. As most of y'all know, I left the Mormon church when I was 20 years old. And one thing that the Mormon church does well is they are awesome at ancestor work. They love genealogy, right? Like Ancestry.com, those are Mormons. So I grew up Mormon, and my two least favorite things to do growing up was crafting and genealogy. But now as a witch, my two favorite things to do is crafting and genealogy. So I love this part of Samhain. This is why Samhain is now it continues to be my favorite. It is because as the veil is thin, we can connect with our ancestors. Oh my goodness. It is such a beautiful time. And so one thing I loved as a kid was, as a Pratt, my last name is Pratt, I joke it's Mormon royalty. It means that I've been lucky enough that my genealogy has been done for generations back. I am so lucky that I have those resources. And most people don't realize when they start practicing witchcraft that there is an aspect of witchcraft that is called ancestor work. I didn't start this venture on my own. Oh hell no. This venture started because my ancestors were screaming at me from the other side of the world, from the other side of the veil, saying, hey, you know how we're cursed ourselves with assholeryness? Okay, well Morgan, it's up to you to help maybe solve that. And that's why I love Samhain. It is a good time to connect with those freaking ancestors. So, taking notes from Dia De Los Muertos, I love lighting candles around Samhain for my fallen ancestors. I love to look at family pictures, and I look at the portrait that I painted of my mom, Tanya Pratt. She died when I was 14 years old, and her favorite thing was freaking Diet Coke. She loved Diet Coke more than anything. So I was that spooky, wooky, macabre person who I lit a candle. On Halloween Eve one year, I took a candle. I took a bloody candle. What? Who said that? I took a bloody candle and some Diet Coke, and I poured the Diet Coke. It's just the same thing as offering an ofrenda. Pouring the Diet Coke on my mom's grave, lighting a candle, and just being with her. And being that graveyard where my mom is buried is kind of a family graveyard. A lot of my people are buried there. And so it is such a powerful time to connect with your ancestors. So, Thank you guys so much for coming out to support me. Thank you guys for coming on in. I love you guys. I freaking love all of the love and support and watching this origins of Halloween. And so as, you know, as the leaves are changing and as things are falling, take time to connect with your ancestors. I beg you, take time to be with your ancestors and to remember the people who have come before you. Connect with them because they want to connect with you. So whether you are celebrating Dia De Los Muertos by going to a graveyard and lighting candles or offering ofrendas, or you are dressing up like a slut and having an awesome party, remember that Samhain is such a powerful time to manifest. It is such a powerful time to sow your seeds for this next year. It is such a beautiful time to connect with your fallen loved ones. It is a time to be with your family, to be with those who have fallen before you. It is a time to manifest abundance. So this is the most powerful time of year to sow your seeds. What are you manifesting for next year? Don't worry, don't manifest in the middle of winter. Don't manifest, don't write down those goals on freaking January 1st, bitch. Write down those goals now. Now is the time. It is November 1st is the first day of the pagan year. And it is so much more powerful time to manifest abundance when we are surrounded by the fall harvest, as we are surrounded by leaves, as we are surrounded by so much happiness and so much goodness and so much abundance. Whether you are dressing as a slut this year or you are dressing as a, you know, chintzy zombie, do not forget that you are made of magic and we are in our freaking villain era. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for all the likes. Thank you guys for subscribing. You guys, I am stoked. Also, if you missed episode 2, I did a reaction video to Selena Spooky Boo and her best friend Call Me Chris as they explored the old comedy store in LA. It was such a good time. Next week, I'm gonna be doing reaction video part 2, where Selena Spooky Boo may or may not flash her tatas to some ghosty woasties. Be there or be square. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you guys. Happy Samhain! Don't forget to come out every Witchy Wednesday. These are gonna come out every Witchy Wednesday. We freaking love you. Have the best day ever. Okay, bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, thanks.